So we've got two people with us today. One's a cab driver, one's an Uber driver. And I've been wanting to do this for a while because I want to show the comparison. I want to show how your day-to-day life is, how you make ends meet, what the difference is, because we know that we're outnumbered now as cab drivers. The cab trade is massively outnumbered by Uber. And I want to see Jabir become you. I want to see, and I know he wants to, and I know there's plenty of other drivers that want to do it, and I want to see what the difference is. So that's what we want to talk about. Jabir, how long have you been private hire for?
About a year and a half.
Okay. What did you do before that?
Buy and sell cars, pretty much. I still do that now as well, but that was my main sort of thing. Before that, studying, completed my degree, didn't pursue it, as you do. Yeah, so other than that, but yeah, even while studying, buying and selling cars and stuff like that, so...
And you, as a private hire driver, what gave you the interest in the knowledge?
As a person, I'm the kind of guy who I always look for the next best thing in the sort of game that I'm in. So even when I was buying and selling cars, for example, I'd look for what's going to earn me the most amount of money selling cars, or can I, branch out and do, like, for example, transporting cars or, repairing cars and stuff like that. So obviously when I took this on, I was like, all right, cool, yes, fine. It's it's earning me a bit of money, but what's next? And then I looked into it, and first I thought, it's just long. Is
it worth the time?
Yeah, literally,
time
that's
in
what I thought.
Study.
Yeah.
But you've done a degree, so you know what's involved in study time and how long it's going to take. I mean, Tony done the knowledge really quickly.
Oh.
I wish.
How long did it take you, Tone? I mean, we've talked about it before, but
10 years and 8 years on appearances. So.
Yeah,
wow.
Yeah.
I mean, it can take that long. That's the thing, isn't it? So it's that consideration of whether you're going to get time to do it, how you set up your study routines, and all that kind of thing. But as an Uber driver, how does your day start? Like, where do you start from, and what makes you start your day? That's my main question.
I start from home.
Right.
So,
and where do you live?
I live in Luton.
Right. Okay.
So I'd say that's kind of an advantage for me.
Yeah.
In the sense that there's no commute.
Yes.
So
you get work straight away.
Yeah.
You get a ping as you're indoors.
Yeah.
That's interesting because we don't.
Yeah.
Generally, unless we live in central London, we don't get a ping straight away. So that ping, would you take it wherever it went?
It depends, because like now, for example, what I tend to do is, like, usually I clock on about 7 o'clock.
Yeah. AM?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what I do is, because I know up until about 9 o'clock it's busy, so whatever's local, I'll take it. And then if, for example, I get something taking me out of Luton, and that I think to myself, right, I'm not going to earn this kind of money in the hour local, I'll go and do that. Whereas if I don't, then I'll just stay local and I'll just do the little local runs and add it up from there. Interesting.
So what is your hourly target? What could you think you could earn?
I try to be realistic.
Yeah.
And realistically, I try to do £20 an hour.
Right.
Obviously, others out there might say, we try to do £30 an hour or £40 an hour.
And that's gross.
Yeah.
So here we have it, right, from the horse's mouth. This is someone that drives Uber every day. How many days a week do you work?
6.
You work 6 days a week and you're grossing £20 an hour.
I try to.
Yeah. And do you own your own car?
Yeah.
So that's yours, you paid for that?
It's on finance, but yeah.
Right.
So there's still a
and you have to pay the actual insurance, which is roughly?
Paying £300 a month, yeah.
£300 a month just for the insurance?
Yeah.
So, and then the car on top of that is
I'm guessing, £400 a month.
So £700 a month, that's your expenses, then you've got your fuel.
Before fuel, yeah.
Before fuel, so I reckon, I'm going to guess £100 a week in fuel?
More than that.
What is it, petrol?
Yeah, it's hybrid.
Yeah.
But I would say average, it depends on the day that I've had as well.
Yeah.
But I would say between 20 and 30 quid a day.
Yeah.
So
a bit more.
Between 150 to 180 a week.
Yeah.
On fuel.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. So that's an insight. It's a good insight. But I'm thinking that wherever you are, you're getting a job.
Yeah.
You're rolling all. Yeah. For every hour you're working, you've got someone in the car.
Yeah.
And what sort of customers are you getting?
Do you know what? They're not bad.
Right.
It all depends on the platform that you work with as well.
Yeah.
Because before I was a London PCO driver, I had a license for Milton Keynes.
Yeah.
Because that was just quick and easy.
Yeah.
So I'd done that, and then with that, I used to work with Bolt, and with the difference between Bolt and Uber customers for me, it's like almost night and day difference.
Yeah.
It's like you get some really crappy customers on Bolt, whereas Uber is still not too bad. Obviously, you always, get the odd here and there where it's just annoying, or they're just, miserable, or moaning about something, or...
See, I've got this theory, and some cab drivers agree with me on this, right? When they say, people don't throw up in my cab anymore. They seem to throw up in cars now. Yeah. Like, I've had one person throw up in my cab in 9 years.
Wow.
Have you had any, Tone?
2 this year.
Have you had 2 this year?
Is
You've
that
been
lucky?
unlucky. You've been really unlucky. I think you've been really unlucky,
Yeah.
because I've believed that them type of customers
Yeah.
are in private hire cars more. So, all right, so we've had Jabir's side.
Do you know what? I'll tell you.
Go on.
I heard from someone, private hire driver, when he was first, he first became a driver. They didn't throw up in his car. They actually done a shit in his car.
Nice. Nice.
It was an elderly couple, and he goes, the guy basically done a shit in my car. And if it wasn't someone who was so close
And you
to
haven't
me,
got
who
the
told me,
partition. You haven't,
Nah,
you've
you
got
got
no
nothing.
separation. They're basically doing that on your lap.
and he had
You know what I
cloth
mean?
seats as well. So,
Oh, my
but
God.
ordinarily, I wouldn't have believed in that. But because the guy, I know him quite closely.
Yeah.
Then it's not rubbish. And then another thing is, my dad's been a private hire driver for as long as he's been driving, almost so like 25 years or whatever.
Yeah.
Just local, and he's had his fair share of whatever happened in the car as well.
Right, interesting. So, let's get the other side, Tony. All right. So, Tony, how do you start your day in the cab?
Leave my house at 1 o'clock.
PM?
Yes. Petrol on the way.
Yep.
Try and get into town for 2, 3 o'clock. It takes
And
about
do
an
you
hour.
get a job on the way in?
No.
Where do you get your first job?
Paddington now.
So you go straight to Paddington.
Paddington's my first job.
Right.
And then I go
You don't
from
use
there.
the apps?
I was before.
And did you used to get a job in when you were before?
If I went Finchley Road, then things would ping
Hampstead.
up.
Hampstead people.
Hampstead sort of, yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't really like going that way. So
Yeah, I
I
understand.
just go to-
Everyone's got their routine.
yeah, I go
So
A40 and
you get an hour of no work basically on the way
Yeah.
in. But when you get your first job,
that's it.
what's your hourly gross that you think what's your target, Tone?
On a Tuesday, so I do Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Yeah.
Long days.
Yeah.
So there'd be 10-hour days. I call that a long day, but
Yeah, it is a long day.
yeah.
Driving a vehicle
agree.
for 10
Yeah,
hours
so-
is long and hard.
I'm hoping for on a Tuesday and Thursday £400. But if I want to do the 12 hours, I can. And
Yes.
Go more. And
So-
go for a job home. That's late at night as well, so you can make it.
So
more.
your hourly target is £40.
Yeah.
10 hours, £400.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But because I start at 3, sometimes it's 35, 30, but obviously when break 2 kicks in, it's 8 o'clock, so it changes things.
So this is the difference here. So my thoughts are, and you can tell me if I'm wrong or
Yeah.
not. Uber take 50% of your money, right? Roughly.
It can be,
Between
yeah.
30 and 50%
It
of
can
your
be
money.
anything. Some
Because if you talk to your customer will say, I'm paying £50 for this job, and you're getting what, 22?
Do you know what it is though?
Yeah.
I've had it a couple of times where, for example, the job's been like 35 quid, and the customer said I paid 30 quid.
Yeah.
So I don't know how it works, but there's
It's an
sometimes-
algorithm of
Yeah.
of timing and things
then
like that. There's all
I've
kinds
had
of
it
different
other
ratios.
times where the customer said I paid 85 quid for it, and I got like what 40, 42 pound or something like that.
Yeah.
So it's all over the place, but
It is.
they do send you like this statement now every week where it tells you what the customer's paid and what you're getting for it. But how accurate that is, I don't know.
Yeah.
See, I've got this theory, and I was speaking to Dean about it earlier, that Uber have now sort of got to their place where they know where they are legally.
Yeah.
Like they know what they can get away with.
They know what to do,
They've
yeah.
got to a place where they feel like they have to, like people have said that their drivers have to be employed, they have to pay holiday pay. They're looking at VAT now. They're looking at all these different things, and they've got to a point where they're like looking at local taxis, black cabs.
Yeah.
We want them on our platform.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm thinking to myself, where it used to be when they first came in, everyone was saying, go on Uber, go on Uber, go on Uber. I think now there might be a swing. We could be seeing people like yourself and others that want to actually have a proper cab license and be a proper cab driver
Yeah.
and actually be proud of something.
Yeah.
Like you're sitting here with your tracksuit top on. He's sitting here with his tracksuit top on, but he's got his badge around his neck.
Yeah.
Now I haven't told you guys to come and do that, you know, and that means something. I think, you know. Also, we had one parking space today, and he got here first. Right?
We come from the same area.
Yeah, you both raced it. You didn't realise you was having a race, but he got here first.
I went down the bus lane.
Yeah, exactly. He went down the bus lane. But you know, and one other thing, which is I think really quite profound and important, is that our meter gets an increase. It might not be every year, but it's looked at, it's assessed, and that's ours. You know, it's and we get a combination of work. I mean, you can go on every private hire app. Yeah, there's several. I mean, I don't know how many there is even. I mean, I know there's Uber and Bolt. There's Free Now as well.
Yeah.
And I don't know what the difference in prices are and all that stuff, but how many phones you're going to have in your we've got several apps that we can use. You know, we share platforms as but if you look at, and the funny thing is, you look at that list on Free Now when you're ordering a car or a cab, you see the difference in price, and obviously that's what you get. You know, you can. It's open. It's no secret that a private hire is cheaper. But the customer chooses what he wants, and that don't always be. That's not always determined on price. So going back to your days, right? So your target is £20. Your target is £40. So that's double. What I would really and cab drivers and other people watching this are going to think, well, the cab driver's paying more for his cab, right? That might be right. I don't know. I mean, if you're renting that car, if that car's not yours, what would it cost you a week to rent that? Because you drive a 5 Series, so you're on Uber exec, right? So you get a bit more on them jobs, right? So what would that cost you to rent that car if it was a new car or 1 or 2 years old?
If it was a new car, you're looking at upwards of £300 a week,
right?
Because I know majority of drivers who rent, like, you know, just an average car which comes under UberX and Comfort and stuff, they're paying upwards of £250 a week with the insurance. So because I know the Mercedes EQE, which is the new electric car, that's eligible for a couple of chauffeur companies as well. People are paying close to £400 a week with that with insurance. So
and they're grossing around £20 to £25 an hour.
Obviously the chauffeurs are probably making a bit more money.
Of course.
But again, like,
but they got to get regular work. They got to maintain that.
The consistency. I personally don't think it's there. I can't really, you know, speak from a lot of experience myself, but I don't think the consistency is there, because I remember when I first bought my 5 Series, I signed up to a chauffeur app, and everything was all hunky dory. And I look at some of the rates, and I'm like, whoa, it's not worth it. Uber Exec is probably better.
Listen, you're not a spokesman for the private hire industry, and Tony's not a spokesman for the black cab trade, and nor am I. But you're on the ground. You're on the ground. You're doing this work every day. And it's no secret, like, you know, but it's good to discuss it and just sort of, and not, rather than be fighting with each other, sit together and work out where we want to be. You know, how can we get you on the knowledge? What would make you think, I've got to go and do this? I mean, another thing we was talking about earlier with Dean is, like, there's always something in the way of the knowledge. You could always have something in the way. You know what I mean? There's always something stop. If you gave up driving that car for a year and a half, 2 years, and you actually went right into doing the knowledge full time, you probably wouldn't lose any money, because you would gain it back over the next 5 years. Now, these are the things you've got to consider. But working alongside the knowledge is very difficult, as you know. And I was the same. Like, and we were speaking before, and you've got a newborn. I had a newborn when I was on the knowledge. That was 12. She's 12 now. I did it. You know, you can. This is the thing. You can do it, and you can either. There's so many ways of doing it. You can tick away at it, or you can go and smash it. But at the end of it, you get that prize of being able to apply for hire, and you know the difference between what you do and applying for hire is you can go on the street. You can use the bus lanes. You can use apps. You can go on the ranks. And my big worry, and this is what I've been talking about on Twitter and all my social media activity, is the fact that if we don't get you out of that car into that cab and people like you, we will start losing the taxi ranks to people that are like you that don't want to be like Tony and me. And this is my worry. And I think you can see it in the suburbs.
Yeah.
Like places, ranks like Tottenham, Alwood, Green,
Yeah.
up my way, they're not stocked
Yeah.
at all. And you get private hire cars parking on them, waiting for people to come out the station who they've booked.
Yeah.
And this is my worry. And this is what I feel that could happen, you know. And yes, I rent cabs, and I want people to rent cabs. Of course I do. That's my business.
Yeah.
But I'm not the only one, am I?
Yeah.
You know,
It's a bigger picture.
it's the bigger picture. And, you know,
The future.
what you've said about your earnings, I thought that would be that. I absolutely thought it would be that sort of money.
Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah, do
I've
you
got
know
a
what it
friend
is
that
though?
does
Like,
accept, no.
Yeah.
like for example, like now, obviously, I'm speaking for myself. Now, there will be other people out there that probably will earn a bit more money than me,
But they have to do more hours, right?
exactly. So,
Yeah.
like, don't get me wrong, you can get lucky. Like, I've had some very good days. Like,
Yeah.
you know, I've had a 400 quid day.
Yeah.
But I've done 14 hours to get it, and I've probably done over 300 miles that day.
Wow.
To get it. So, like, you know, I worked local. I still remember that day specifically. I worked local.
It's an anomaly.
Yeah, went down to Heathrow. From Heathrow, got one going up to Oxford somewhere.
Yeah.
And then that's how I done my 400 quid.
You know, when I was talking to you about coming on here, you had a job and you were
Yeah.
telling me about that job.
Yeah.
Remind me, can you remember?
I think it was
Wasn't it Coventry?
Coventry, and I think it was like
From,
I think it might have been from Luton.
yes.
It might have been from
And
Luton.
what was you getting paid for that?
It wasn't a lot of money.
Was it 80 quid?
80 something pounds, or was it? It might have even been £100. But it's like you think to yourself, I've been dragging my backside for 6.5, 7 hours in this day, and like I barely earned anything. Now I just have to take this
Yeah,
in
you've got
order
no
to
choice.
just sort of, you know,
to have
put
that,
some money in the pocket, innit?
Yeah.
So it's like, don't get me wrong, I probably wouldn't have done a lot of fuel that day
Yeah.
because I'd not earned a lot of money. I'd probably only done about 60 or 70 quid that day. And then you earn that, and then it's like, okay, cool, let's put some money in my pocket.
There is a difference though. Like,
Massively.
if you got that job, you'd be getting 200 to 300 quid, right?
Yeah.
But it's very rare.
Yeah.
Whereas I think you'd get that job in
More
an
on
Uber
that,
more
yeah.
often.
Yeah.
But
But financially, that
But
don't make
doing
sense.
it-
Yeah.
Yeah.
is stressful
Yeah.
because you're coming back empty.
Yeah.
Are you coming back? Did you come back empty?
Yeah, I had to. The closest place I could have started working again from there was Milton Keynes.
Right.
Because that is the furthest north I
okay,
can
yeah.
work.
Right. Because of your license?
With a London license. From there, I think it's like.
Oh, so you've got a London
licenses.
license?
Yeah. So
So see, we're getting
This is another
into
thing,
this
isn't it?
now. This is another level. This is another level. So with your London license, I thought you could go anywhere.
it used to be
private
like
hire.
that.
Yes,
it
it
used
did.
to be. Because I know people who used to do it well before I did. Like, you know,
And what do they kick you off the app if you try and apply?
No, they just don't let you log on.
Oh, so you can't log
You
on.
can't log on. Yeah, once you go to certain areas where like Uber's not, you know,
They're not
they've not got a
licensed,
license.
yeah.
Like for example, you know, Bedford, it's only like half an hour from me, but Uber's not licensed there. Aylesbury, Uber's not licensed there. But what they're doing there now is Uber's working with local firms.
Right.
So, you know, the passenger can still, you know, call an Uber on their phone, but it will go to a local firm. They'll provide the car. So that's another thing they're doing now in places where they can't work.
They're doing things.
So it's like, it's a bit, you know.
Wow.
I personally think local firms are shooting themselves in the foot by doing that.
Well, listen,
that is
my local
interesting.
mini cab company's gone.
Yeah.
The good one that I used
I'd
to love.
imagine in London they're all gone.
Well, I'm in the suburbs, yeah.
Yeah.
And the one I used to love, it can't get drivers.
You can't, yeah.
It,
That's exactly the same vars in Carpenter's Park. They've got
Yeah.
3 black cabs at work, 9 to 5. That's it. They stop at 5 o'clock.
wow.
There's no cabs there on the rank.
No.
No, they just work 9 to 5.
And this is
they
gonna-
can't get drivers.
and this is why I think that like Uber drivers that might want to double their earnings because what you're saying to me is to get the equivalent car, you could get an older car and have cheaper expenses, but you can get an older cab and get cheaper
Still got the
expenses.
same meter.
So Tony's paying $350 a week, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
360, yeah.
$360 a week. Tony's paying $360 a week. Okay, you could technically pay 300 quid a week for that car.
Yeah.
but you pay a lot less because you own it.
Yeah.
That brings other situations of responsibility of your own insurance, etc., which would be the same as owning your own black cab, which we call a musher. Have you heard that saying?
Heard it.
Yeah. We'd call you a musher. I don't know what you'd call you in your trade, but it's the same. But you're earning less, so you're paying what you're paying, and he's paying what he's paying, but he's getting the double hourly rate. and obviously he can apply for hire anywhere in London. So I don't understand. Yes, I know that the study time is longer, but it's like any trade or any job, isn't it? Like,
Yep.
what were you doing before you became a black cab driver? Or
Working
before
in
you
a fruit and
started?
veg shop.
Right?
Yeah.
Was your hourly rate 20 quid? Less.
No.
Less.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. And so you thought to yourself, I want to earn that money. Someone told you.
Yeah.
For me, that's not happening anymore. Like, I'm not seeing black cab drivers recommending
Yep. Doing the knowledge. Yeah.
doing the knowledge anymore.
Yep.
And there's always been private hire drivers doing the knowledge.
Yeah.
I did my knowledge
everyone
with private hire drivers. Loads.
Everyone I was on appearances was a private hydra.
So why can't we tap into that market?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Are you doing the knowledge now?
Yeah.
What stage are you at?
Just literally just started.
Right.
40 runs in.
You're 40 runs in.
Yeah.
And you're not doing it on a bike, are you?
No.
So you're staying in your car to do it. You're coming into London early hours in the morning?
I've literally just stopped now, obviously, while
Yeah,
baby's
Baby's
here,
just
and
come.
then I'm
Yeah.
going to give it a couple of weeks now, and then just, it's going to be early hours, because I initially started in January, but then I had to stop. I had no choice but to stop. But the way I would do it then was I would work during the day, and then I would go out in the evening for a couple of hours, because that's all it takes, a couple of hours, and then I'll just come back. But now I just thought to myself, I'd rather just do early hours, and then from there I can finish off and then start working, basically. And then,
'Cause you're here.
Yeah. And then if I get...
I think a
anything
lot of
taken
people
back
do
up north,
this.
it's
I
better.
think a lot of people do this, you know.
Yeah.
But Tony will tell. Tony's a good example of someone who had a really tough journey on the knowledge.
Can
10
imagine,
years.
10 years.
You know.
Wow.
But you saw all the change. There wasn't many changes, but you called it at the wrong time where they were chucking you back a stage. They don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
They keep you on the stage that you're on until you get to the next stage,
Yeah.
which is a big thing.
A lot of people quit. and
If
things like
if you're not working, they'll see that and they'll have a meeting with you and stuff like that. So there is that, and I'm hoping that at some point they'll do something with it to make it a bit more dynamic.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah.
But that's not up to me. It's not up to you. It's not up to you. But what I want to see is people like yourself grab it and go, look, this ain't working for me. I'm sitting in this car with no partition, no protection.
Yep.
I've got no access to the bus lanes. I've got to pay the congestion charge. I'm still paying an equivalent rental to my hourly rate. It's time for some of us to go, right, let's do the knowledge, because otherwise we're going to lose something iconic.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're going to lose that. Without that cab, what's London got? I know we've got the sites and the buses,
Yeah.
but a lot of people rely on that cab, and I mean, for me, when someone gets in the back of my cab, some of them want to talk about London.
Yep.
And you can't talk about London to someone if you don't know about the streets.
Yeah.
And you're following a sat nav,
Yep.
and you're looking at that sat nav, and you don't want to go wrong. Whereas me and you, we can have a
yeah.
chat with our customer, and sometimes that customer has got a big problem,
Yeah.
and you help them.
Yeah.
Or sometimes you've got a problem, and them customers help you get through your day.
Do you know what? That's kind of relatable in the sense that when I'm working local and somebody's like not from the area, and because I know my area very well,
yeah.
I can help them out.
Yes.
But when you're in
Whereas
the
when I'm in London, they're like, oh, I've had it once, and they're like, the passenger's like, oh, what's this place? And I'm just like, oh, it's Big Ben. That's all I can tell them.
You don't know.
I don't know nothing.
You can't. You can't.
And I'm a person who visits London a lot, but
Yeah, still don't.
knowing the place and visiting is two different things.
We are the eyes and ears of London.
Yeah.
We are. And if we don't do something about it drastic, i.e., recruit from your industry, because you're the people that are primed, then I can foresee 10 to 15 years down the line, we're going to lose our trade.
change. Yeah.
We're going to lose our ranks. We're going to lose King's Cross, Paddington. You go straight to Paddington.
Yeah.
Fantastic rank. That's
job,
the heartbeat of into London, because that's where everyone comes in from Heathrow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the heartbeat, right? If we start losing that, where are we going to go? It's worrying, and we've got lots of people that challenge what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to tell everyone off and all that kind of stuff, but they're saying, we're busy. Well, of course we're busy, because we ain't got enough cabs.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We're going to be
times
busy.
It's crazy.
At times it's mental. Like when it's raining,
Yeah, it's insane.
it's insane.
Yeah.
Like there's people waiting at your door. when you're dropping off. Either door sometimes. Yeah. It's insane.
You got hands. And you're like, where do I stop?
and you got other drivers arguing about where you should be on the rank and blah blah blah, and you're behind me and this. Look, you know, it's nonsense. But you know, we need more people.
Yeah, definitely.
And for people that are thinking we're flooding, we shouldn't flood the streets, and you want to flood the streets. No, I want us to stop declining.
Yeah.
Because if we keep declining, that's where we're going. Decline is a horrible word, isn't it?
It is though. It is declining.
But as it's an old trade, it's been around over 300 years, right? When we get to 50, 60, 70 years old, we decline. But this trade shouldn't decline. No. It should be organic. It should
the next lot through.
Exactly.
And
you know,
there's not many young cab drivers.
There isn't.
From the stats I've looked at,
there isn't.
Not many.
There isn't many at all, and it's a shame.
Yeah.
You know, because there's lots of.
I've got friends that want to do the knowledge, but they sort of look at my time. And I say, if you do
You're
it
not
properly,
a good example, Tone.
No, I say to them, join a school from day one and speak to Dean.
Yeah,
but
you're the
don't
right
do it my
person.
way. Yeah,
you're the right person to say, don't
just
do
from
it.
home on your own, thinking you're doing it the right way, and you go there and you get found out. But they still look at 3 or 4 years and sort of just.
In a way, when I say you're not a good example, you are a good example.
Yeah,
because you made all the mistakes.
Yeah.
So he knows.
Yeah.
And I was told I was making mistakes every time I went there, but I thought better of it. And And then 2 years from the end, I got a call over partner, and it all just
all changed.
I threw everything at it, and then
And I think, like we were saying earlier, like with the thing with the knowledge is, you can do it in 2 years.
Yeah.
But you've got to make sure that you live it
every day.
Every day.
Yeah.
You know, there's new examiners coming along now who I think seem a bit more pragmatic.
Yeah.
You know, that understand that people ain't going to know every point in London. You know, and even if they do go and find all them points, they're you know, they're little.
Yeah.
You know, you're better off learning the roads and the big points.
Yeah.
You know, and it should all stem from there, right? So, and also, what I will say about the knowledge is, I don't think you're really on it until you're on an appearance.
Yeah, of course.
Because you're doubting yourself where you should start. You know, but you should. That doesn't mean you should go and start your appearances when you don't have enough in the canister.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's really interesting to listen to both sides. I mean, the clientele was different, and I can see that.
100%, yeah.
Definitely.
I thought I was going to have people that were just horrible all the time, and
what made you think that?
I don't know. I just thought the public were horrible. I just thought everyone was horrible. And I was just, I was scared that people were just going to be horrible. And I've had one man that sort of questioned my route, and the wife apologised for him. He'd had a drink or whatever, and that's it.
Yeah.
And everyone's just been. They either sit there on their phone and don't even look at what you're doing because they trust you completely.
Yeah.
Or they want to have a chat.
Yeah.
And they just trust what you do. I ask people, you got a preferred route? And the majority of the time they say, just go the way you want to go. You know London better than me.
And that's what you do get sometimes when you first start. You say that, and because you've got a route in your head, and then they always say that to you, and you think, I'm sick of asking now. I'll just go my way. Yeah. And if someone questions it, then they need to have a good reason.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
that,
I have Google Maps on my phone.
Yeah, I do. I think it's
because I want to know where the traffic is.
Traffic and stuff is as well.
But when someone says to me where they're going, I instantly have a direction in my head. Yeah. Whereas you wouldn't have that because you've not studied the roads.
But then saying that, when I'm working local, I'm like that.
Yeah.
So, like for example, if I get a job from Luton train station to somewhere, I know exactly where I'm going. I don't even look at the sat-nav once. I just do it to confirm the route. And that is it. So I can understand why the knowledge is there.
Yeah.
You know, I can understand. Oh, well, what I can't understand is when people say, "Oh, you use sat-navs, bloody, bloody, blah," and I'll use the example of when I'm local. So many times the sat-nav's been saying go there, and I'm like, nonsense. I'm going my own way.
And I find that sat-nav dangerous.
Yeah.
Like you say, I'm the same. I'll confirm because I doubt myself a lot because I'm not in the cab every day Tony.
Yeah.
I doubt myself a lot, and I look at it, I'm like, I was going that way.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
or I was doing that. I was going to go there.
Better having the technology.
Yeah. It has
added a little bit.
It speeds things up a little bit.
Yeah.
It's belt and braces.
With points, we don't know them all, so
belt and braces.
Yeah.
And
they sort of give you a road, and then they'll say somewhere, so you just head to that road, and it just sort of all. When you've got the technology there, it just all works itself out.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think a little bit of everything is brilliant.
A guy last night, he asked me for Granderson Road. Would you know where that is?
Down near Broomwood, is it? Down that way?
Yeah.
Yeah, one of them.
And he went. I went. Oh, I don't know it, mate. And he went Northcote Road. I went Battersea. He went, yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm in my head. I'm heading over either Battersea or Albert Bridge, and I'm heading to Albert Bridge from Brompton Road. So I know my grid on the way. It ended up being Clapham. Yeah. But I knew that Northcote was Battersea, so I headed towards that area, and that's what it gives you. It gives you your general direction, which speed things up instantly. Where because I don't know about you, but when you're in London, you're asking for a postcode, aren't you? Not for Victoria Station, but you're asked as soon as they say Grandison Road, you want the postcode.
Yeah. Well, obviously it's all on the app anyway.
Yeah.
So
they put it on. Yeah, of course they do.
So and then the thing with this is, as soon as you accept the job and
it gives you the
your POB it's.
Do you know where the route's going?
Yeah. So what it will do, it'll give you like a postcode. So like for example, I don't know, it might be from I don't know, LU1 to LU3, for example.
Okay. Did it do that before? Has it always done that?
It's always done that, but I know Uber in other countries they don't give a
I was under the impression
destination
you could see where you actually
like
go.
of where it's going. It's just saying right, you got a job and that's it. Whereas with this, what it does is it tells you how much it is, where
what
it's
you're
from.
getting. Yeah.
So what Uber takes from the get go, we don't know.
We don't have a clue. Yeah.
So this is.
Do you ever ask the customer?
Do you know what? I don't really.
Have you ever?
No. To be honest with you, I actually haven't. It's just when a customer has said it themselves to me that it's cost me 40 quid or whatever. Like sometimes a recent one came up in conversation where the passengers, like our driver's always moaning that our Uber takes too much and blah, 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 blah. I was like, look, to be honest with you, I don't like to moan about things. I just like to do my thing. It's like when I've been offered the job, I'm going to take it or leave it. That is it. So I don't get why a driver would moan about that in the moment. Yeah. Obviously, when you look back at your statement and you be like, hold on a second, that passenger paid X amount, then you might get a little bit annoyed about it that, right, I could potentially be earning X amount.
Yeah.
But in the moment while I'm working, I just don't do it. Yeah, it used to be 20%. Yeah.
It's out of your control.
But I think it's 20% and then 20% VAT as well, I think.
So how do you feel like you're getting treated from this company?
Do you know what? It's usually I'm okay, but sometimes you get a thing where like, you're en route to a job or something and there's a lot of traffic and you've sat in traffic for 10 minutes to get there and then they've cancelled it and you don't get a cancellation fee. And then you phone them up and they just don't give a shit.
That's what killed me with the apps. That's why I came off. Well, I'm on free now and Get, but there'd be jobs like that and you're stuck and then you get cancellation and then you get to a job and there's nothing. Like, no, there's no customer. Dave obviously just jumped in a black cab.
Yeah. See, for me...
that's what annoyed me with the apps.
I get that. I agree with that. Yeah. Right. But for me, the apps...
That was when I was new, though.
So for me, with the apps, I can treat it completely differently.
Yeah.
So I treat it like it works for me in a way.
Yeah, of course.
I.e., you get... I'm on a lot of WhatsApp groups with driver friends and stuff.
Yeah.
And they complain about going places. Like, they complain about, I've just been sent out to Streatham, right? And it's a shit job. Yeah. How's it a shit job?
Getting paid for it, innit?
You're getting paid to go there.
Yeah.
The app will come and it will give you a job. And it does.
Yeah.
If you don't get it in Streatham, you get it in Brixton.
Yeah.
Well, that's just an example. And that brings you back in.
Yeah.
So it's not a crap job. Yeah. It's a great job.
Yeah.
Only if you're using the apps. Yeah. If you're not using the apps, you're not going to... And they'll go, but 20%. And I'm like, but 20% what? Yeah. Like, you mean 80% because you weren't getting a job there before. Yeah. So you're actually getting 80% more. So that's how I treat them, which you can in a black cab, but you can't in a private hire because that is you are on that all the time. But you do get connections. You're connecting jobs in a different way. Yeah. Whereas we're connecting jobs in town all the time from ranks, from the street, and you're getting the full fare. So for me, like, I'm getting £7 a mile, right? Roughly?
Yeah.
Roughly £7 a mile.
Yeah.
An Uber, I would say you're probably getting between £1 and £2.
Yeah. Do you know what the worst one for me personally is Bolt?
Yeah,
it's really, really bad. Like, there's people who are getting like 80p a mile and stuff on thrown on jobs, and I'm like, wow. It's like, because my dad, he's also on Bolt as well because he works in Milton Keynes now.
Right.
So he's like tells me sometimes about the jobs that they're offering, and I'm like, whoa, it's just.
And your dad's telling you this. So back in the day, other people's dads would be saying, go on and go and do the knowledge.
Yeah.
They're not saying that to you anymore because they're complaining about the cost of the cab. They're complaining about the road closures. Traffic. They're complaining about Calm. They're complaining about the airport. You can't get a tag anymore. You can't. There's so many negatives that we hear, right, Tone?
Yeah.
All these negatives. Yeah. We don't hear about the positives of the freedom that this man's got now
it's
of earning what he's earning, which he's never earned in his life. All right, it took him a while to get there because, you know, he didn't listen to Dean and whatever, right?
Examiners
and everyone else.
Told me.
But that was his fault, right? Yeah. If you listen and get on with things, you always do well. But, you know, that's giving them hope. And we're not all degree educated.
No.
We're not all, you know, we're not all professional footballers. You know, that is a good wage. That is a decent living wage, and that gets looked at every year. It doesn't always get increased, but it gets looked at every year and assessed. And our expenses get assessed against that meter. Safety's priced into that meter. You see, I get this thing right a lot, and you probably get it as well. You get a customer who's bored, and they'll be sitting in the cab, and they'll be looking around and be going, "So how's Uber affected you then?" Did you get that?
A lot of the time.
And I'll go, "Do you know what? It's two different clienteles." I said, we survived it, right? We survived it. We thought we were going to get blown out of the water. But you know what? See this meter? Safety's priced into this meter. There's no meter in an Uber car, only the one they invented, right? Which they run. And they treat their drivers accordingly, and they treat their passengers accordingly. And now there's this thing, I don't know if you've seen it, where this court case where these people don't think they can claim for an injury because Uber's T&Cs. Well, I don't necessarily agree with that. So I think that you can actually challenge that, but that's another thing completely. I'm rambling, but what I'm saying is that it's not safe. We are safe. Once you've trained and you've become that iconic London cab driver, you should be a safe driver. You've learnt.
I think going through the knowledge should make you a better person, and I think it does, character-wise.
Discipline.
From the start.
Discipline. Learning that discipline at the start is the hard bit. Like learning how to get through them blue books is the first hurdle, which you're struggling with. I can tell.
It's just like
it's
time
hard.
And stuff like that. Managing time, basically.
Managing time, young family. How old are you, Jabir?
27.
See, that's young. You know, you look a lot older. You've got
two
two kids.
I've got a lot of white hair.
You've got two kids. But what I'm saying is, it's hard to manage that discipline. But doing it at that age is perfect because you've got plenty of time. You're young. You can soak it up.
That's what sort of kept me going. I was in my 23 when I started.
So you messed about with it a bit, didn't you?
But I weren't the person I was, do you know what I mean, after I finished
it changes your brain.
I've never done anything like this in my life.
It changes your brain.
I've ever done uncomfortable, I never went for. And this was uncomfortable going for appearances. It took me a long time just to get used to that. But you have to throw yourself into it and just,
The thing is, for me, like, the learning aspect of it so far, I'm not finding it difficult. It's just, as I said, the time management and, you know, how I'm going to, you know, provide for, you know, family and pay my bills.
Putting people off.
I think that's the biggest thing nowadays that puts people off. Personally, that's what I think.
Because at least when you're working you're earning a wage. And you know.
Even though it's £20 an hour, it's £20 an hour, you need that money. You
Don't
need
get me
that
wrong,
money.
as I said, I can probably earn more sometimes, and sometimes I can earn less.
Yeah, but you're working out your average. And same with Tony.
But you think of the Black Cab, you work Saturday and Sunday. Some people don't even work in the week because they can earn enough just working a Saturday and Sunday.
Do you know
two
what?
long days. If I could, I would. I'd work Friday, Saturday, Sunday and work 15-hour days and that'd be done.
I heard that exact same thing from a driver. It was actually last year. I was in London with my family and I took a cab because you have to. I had a pushchair. I had, you know, 4 people with me. That's the only thing you can do, really.
That's another advantage of us.
You know, I was exactly. So I was chatting to the driver and, you know, just talking to him in general. And I think he was the one who just, when I had the conversation with him, I thought to myself, right, I can do this. Because the guy said to me, he goes, when I first started the knowledge, I didn't know how to pronounce Victoria Station. He goes, I'm not from this country. He goes, I wasn't
so it's
born
not even
here.
his first language.
Exactly. And he goes, it took me 4 years to do it and I've done it. He goes, you're born, you're bred here. You've got education, you can do it. And then he said to me, I goes, so what sort of days do you work? He goes, whenever I like. But he goes, on average, probably 2, maybe 3 days, long days, and that's it. He goes, I don't need to do anything anymore. He goes, I think he said he was in his 50s. He goes, you know, my kids have all moved out. I'm chilling now, basically. So he goes, I do 2-3 days a week.
And that's it suits different lifestyles.
And that's everybody. When I thought to myself that, I can do this.
But there'll be people watching this now and they'll be going, but you can't have these cabs anymore part-time. Why not? Why not? Why not? It's the same as any other cab. Like, the cabs get older, they get cheaper. They don't go up in price. It's a depreciating asset. Like your car out there, what is it, 68 plate? So it's worth 20 grand?
Not even that anymore.
15?
No, not even that.
By the time you
Quite
finish
high,
the knowledge, it'd be worth £1,000.
probably.
But you can still put that £1,000 down. But yeah.
It's just losing money, though, isn't it? It's just going to happen.
But they depreciate. This is why a lot of cab drivers rent, because they don't want that headache of a depreciating asset, the insurance cost. It's as a fleet owner, this is the only thing out of my control is insurance.
Yeah,
I can't predict it. You can't predict it, and the problem with it is, if you have an accident, a really bad accident, and he doesn't, it's reflective on him. But it's the same with the wider fleet. It's the same with insurance in general.
Yeah, of course.
There's no control. There's no control over that.
Yeah.
And this is why a lot of people rent, because they don't want to lose control. They pay their 3.5 and they just crack on.
Yeah.
That 3.5 comes out of Monday's takings, and then the rest of the week they get their money. And that's how you. I know that's how you operate, right? Yeah. That's how most of the fleet operate.
Get your expenses and then
tax deductible. You know, it makes it simple.
Yeah.
It makes it simple.
Yeah,
you know?
I'd love to buy a cab, but not yet.
Yeah,
Not
there's
yet.
no rush.
Not ready for it yet.
No, there's no rush.
Extra stress.
Well, exactly, and it's a thing where, you know, the problem we've got, and this is, and I agree with this problem. What they complain about, what all the guys that are complaining about, is we've only got one vehicle. That's a problem.
That's a big problem.
It's a problem because parts and all that kind of stuff is expensive, and when the parts run out, which we're seeing at the moment, cabs are off the road.
Yeah.
And then you haven't got enough cabs to replace them cabs. And I know fleets are running out of cabs now.
Yeah.
So these are problems. But the thing is, that vehicle is purpose built.
Yeah.
So there's not going to be many car companies that are going to want to build that vehicle
to compete with.
So that's the downside. That's the downside. But
think,
as long as we've got one,
that's one thing, isn't it? But I think that's another big thing for private hire, because you can realistically drive what you like.
Yeah.
And I think that's what appeals to a lot of people, because I know a few people who work part time.
Yeah.
And they're like, right, I'm going to get myself a nice car because, you know, on the weekends I can earn some money out of it. And then I'm like, well, by the time you've ended up paying for the car and you paid for your insurance, you're just back to square one of paying for your car.
Yeah. You're driving to pay for the car.
So
whereas you're not doing that in a black cab.
Exactly. So
unless you're only working a day a week, right? If you're going to work one day a week, then you are just going to be paying. Because I've had some drivers say to me, Paul, I'm only paying your rent at the moment. It's not worth me working. And I'll be like, you need to hand the cab back. I don't want you to be telling me this, because this is not good for you. It's not good for me. It's good for me in a way, because always it keeps my mileage down. But I don't want you to be unhappy. You're not working and you're not in the right frame of mind to work. But, you know, that's unusual. That's very unusual. And the other thing about any trade in driving and self-employment is you've got to make sure you look after yourself. I.e., if you get sick, no one's going to be paying your bill. No one's driving your cab for you. That's a very, very serious consideration. Health. You know, I used to help out at a knowledge school, not this one, another one, when I first got out. And before I used to help out with the runs and stuff, I used to say to guys, make sure you eat right. I'm not perfect. I don't eat perfect. I'm not underweight. I'm not slim. But what I'm saying to you is, like, you're sitting down all day. You're not doing any steps. You're not moving around. Like, be really careful with your health. You know, I think that's so important.
I've put on 20 kilos since I've started doing this.
Really?
And that's in, what, a year and a half?
Yeah.
I was 80 kilos 2 years ago. I'm 100 now.
Wow.
So, and it's literally down to
there
this.
You go.
And like,
it's not good for your heart.
Prior to that, it's not like I ate healthy.
No.
I would have probably one meal a day, which was a really unhealthy meal, probably a takeaway, and then just snacks in between the day. But I was a lot slimmer than what I was now. I was a waist 30
because you're moving around. Step. So it's very important. Anyone who's watching this, honestly, it's just so important to keep your health on top, because you get medicals.
Yeah.
Did a private hire give you a medical?
Yeah, you have to have a medical from your GP.
Another thing I want to ask is, how long does it take to get a private hire license from start to finish?
Do you know what? It's now all basically in TfL's hands, because like now, for example, I can apply and then they might not get back to me for a month or 2 months or 3 months to give me the date. Then you get your date and they say, 28 working days. Usually it runs over.
Date
to
for
get
what?
Your test, your topographical test.
Oh, yeah. What does that consist of?
Nothing. It's just like looking at a screen. You just do a route on the screen. That is it. But from what I've heard,
ludicrous,
literally, and like now they're just trying to, take marks away from, like, if you hit a line on a map or something.
Right.
So you've got to zoom all the way in.
Do you think you'd have done that in 5 years' time, that one?
Jesus. Yeah, I would have really struggled. I failed my CBT. You can't fail CBT. I fell off my bike. I did. We went round a corner and they looked round and I was on the floor. I tried to go around the corner.
Do you know what? That was just.
He said like that £100 you paid will cover the damages on the bike.
Yeah, I bet.
So 2 CBTs I did.
My God.
But yeah, that test is really.
You must have done a few of them because they run out every 3 years, right?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I did do.
Once you get it, you just go back and sign the piece of paper. So.
It's always a worry when I take on a new driver who said that they've took 10 years to get the knowledge. I'm like,
Adam smashed the bike.
he smashed his bike up, CBT. He took 10 years to do the knowledge, and I'm giving this guy a cab with no training whatsoever. And this is the other thing. They used to be a test. I did a test in a taxi before I got my license. You weren't allowed to take your get your bill and badge until you had the taxi test. But they've got rid of that. Which I think's really negative.
Yeah, there should be something.
Do you know what? For Milton Keynes private hire, I had to do a test.
Right.
But it's Buckinghamshire
round
Council in general.
about.
Do you know what? It's literally
round about.
The thing is that the examiners, they just don't care. They want to make their quick £100 and that is it.
Of course they do.
And they'll do, I don't know, 10 of them a day because there's so many applications for private hires all over the place.
Yeah.
But I think some councils have been losing out to Uber as well. Because I know, for example, Luton Council private hires dropped a lot in general, and now what they've done is they've made the local knowledge test a lot easier, whereas it used to be quite a bit more difficult from what I remember.
Okay.
Because a lot of people are just, PCO and that's it. Just Uber's just better in general. But now from what I've seen in general, like prices will be like, I think they may compare to local firms. There might be a little bit less than local firm. For example, a local firm might quote £7 and I might get £6.50 for it, for example. But by the time you take out the local firm's expense and everything, like your rent and whatever, you're down to £6.50 anyway. And I think Uber's doing that now. And then drivers for the local firms are thinking, right, we'll just go there. Yeah. So like now, even in Luton, there used to be dozens of firms. Now it's just watered down to like 3 or 4 like big ones. Well, one really big one. They've got, I think, 400 drivers, I don't know. But the rest of them, they're just like really, really small. And I think they're losing them to PCO, I think.
It's sad. And I just wonder because you're seeing this thing now where Uber are trying to recruit black cabs. Now, this is something very strange, in my opinion.
Very
they
cheeky.
They came in 2011 or 12.
When I started the knowledge.
Same year as me.
I went for my initial tour.
Same year as me. Thing is, I got mine in 2015. But anyway.
Olympics year.
Yeah. That was it. And I think to myself, what's going on here then? And all the black cab drivers are out protesting and stuff. So they're coming in and they're going to obliterate us. And now they want us to be on their platform. They did do this short burst of trying to get black cabs on board when they first came, and they
were
got
at Paddington the other week coming up and down.
They're
trying to talk to
I just wonder. So like they've realised that they're not going to get rid of us, and it's the only city that they can't get rid of local taxis.
Get them on board.
I've been to many cities in Europe and around the world, and they've got no iconic cab.
Yeah,
like I go to Paris and you see all different taxis. I've been
I
ripped
actually
off.
saw a black cab into Paris.
Yeah, you will. Yeah, there's a few. But they've got no light on the top.
Yeah.
They're not. They're different. I think they're private hire. They use them for private hire over there. I'm not really 100% sure, but the Paris taxis are a rip-off. I've been ripped off in Paris. Yeah. I've been to Athens, Madrid, Barcelona. None of them have got iconic taxis. Athens definitely haven't. They share a platform with Uber. They're a taxi firm. New York do now.
Yeah.
Cities like Manchester. I've been to Manchester. And you get Wolverhampton Uber drivers there. Yeah. I mean, what is that? Yeah. And then you see all the actual black cabs lined up on ranks. They're not moving. Everyone's getting in Ubers in Manchester. Birmingham, similar. Like their black cab trade's obliterated. So, where are we heading? Like we've got 17,000 drivers roughly now. That's a big fleet, huge fleet still, but we've got 108,000 private hire cars. So we're nearly 10 to 1. Yeah. It is dangerous. And I've said it on here already. It's very dangerous. But on the other side of the coin it's a great opportunity for these guys to come over to us and do better. Yeah. Do so much better for themselves and do so much better for London.
Yeah. That's exactly the way I looked at it.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
And I know that, and that's why I picked up with you, Jabir, because I knew that you could see it. I knew you could see it, and there must be so many more people like you.
Do you know what it is? I think there is
Thousands.
But the ultimate thing for me, I think personally, when I speak to other people, is just like, no, I can't do it. It's too long.
That's it's only too long if you feel like it's too long.
Yeah,
you got to be positive. Positivity is key.
100%.
You know, you can do it. I mean, if we did it, why can't you do it?
Yeah,
you know, and everyone that's got a brain can be trained. You know, it's repetition. It can be boring. Yeah. That's why we say, how long did it take you to get out? Because it's like your brain's in prison for a bit.
Yeah.
But while it's there, it's learning and it's exercising, and you're exercising, I hope, and you're getting something that's much better.
Yeah.
And like I said, this trade is London. You know, without the black cab, we've got no London as far as I'm concerned. It's going to be a dire place, a dead place, because there's going to be no people watching London. There's going to be no people knowing about London, and tourists are going to come here, and they're going to be like, it's going to be a free for all. It's not going to be safe.
When it's busy on a Friday and Saturday night, a lot of people are on their phones trying to get an Uber.
Yeah,
they want the convenience of a black cab.
They see you
just waiting for the light,
and they're like,
and then they go to me, "How'd you cancel the Uber?" And I'm like, I don't know, but I promise you, a lot of them just want a cab. They don't care about the price.
They're not interested in the price as such.
They just want to get in a cab,
and they're paying you. You know, and what you were saying earlier about my target. My target is £20, but I sometimes get more. Sometimes we get more than 40 or 50.
Yeah,
because you could get two jobs that you can get out to Heathrow for 60. Well, it was 65, but it's more like 85 now. Yeah. And then you get a ping back.
Yeah,
and you're like, all of a sudden, you're on £70 an hour, and that happens a lot. You know, so that is the difference.
Once you get into your rate 2 and 3, anything can happen. I think.
Yeah.
It can it can go. Yeah. So.
But yeah, I mean, listen, boys, thank you very much. It's been
you're welcome.
A massive eye opener.
Yeah.
And I think people watching it will understand that we're not a closed shop.
Yeah.
We're not some kind of Masonic lodge that we don't want new people in. And when I say new people, I mean everyone. We don't want certain people in and not certain people in. We want everyone to understand that it's a career. Yeah. It's not just you're driving someone from A to B, it's a career. You can go, you know, I came into this trade, I didn't know what I was going to be like. I didn't know whether I was going to own a fleet. Yeah. But I got to that position.
Yeah.
You know, I got friends that run touring businesses that are doing very, very well. Wedding businesses.
Yep.
I got a friend who works for certain families, high net worth families. Yeah. And they pay them personal money. Yeah. You know, that's big money. Yeah. You know, and that certain person, I want to get him on here because he's got other drivers working for him now.
Oh wow. Yeah.
I want him to talk about it because he met this customer in lockdown and they got on really well. And he's doing so well out of it.
Yeah. There's more opportunity out there.
I know you can do that off private hire as well. I understand that. It's not just the cab trade, but you get a certain clientele that respect us and they would never get in an Uber. No. Do you know what I mean? But you get a certain clientele that want to just get an Uber or never get in a black cab. Yeah. But they're different worths. Yeah. They're worth different money.
Exactly.
So you're getting more. Yeah. That's the point. And you're driving that iconic London cab. And I just wish you luck, and I don't want you to give up.
Try not to.
You ain't giving up now. Now you've sat here and discussed it. You can't give up. It's the ultimate push. It's the ultimate push, and we'll see you in 12 years.
Wearing a cap.
Yeah, wearing a cap. Going, I've done it. Tony's giving me his cap, his 10-year cap. So I just think, honestly, good luck, and thank you again, Tony, because you've confirmed to Jabir and everyone else what can be done.
Yeah.
You know, it's not difficult, and the freedom's there. You haven't got to worry about your job the next day, because the next day you're doing the same job and you're doing more, and it's different every day. All right?
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Pleasure.